Hey, everybody. Hello. I'm Annie Brock, President and CEO of the Leader Transition Institute, and I am really glad to see you today. We are going to be here for 30 minutes to answer your questions about VA benefits. I'm grateful that Jane Babcock is here with us, and some of you may recognize her as being an extraordinary expert in the area of veterans benefits. She served as an active VSO for many years, and since she retired, she has stayed active in our community. So thank you, Jane, for being with us today.
Absolutely. It's always good to be with the family.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So what I want to start out with today is just to make sure that everybody that I say hello. If you don't know what the Leader Transition Institute is, we are a 501c3 organization. So we're a nonprofit approved by the IRS. We are headquartered in the state of Maryland, and we serve globally. Our flagship program is Changing Focus, Moving from We to Me, designed for service members and veterans and their spouses who are in that 24-month window on either side of transitioning from active duty to the civilian sector. And if you're in the reserves or you're in the National Guard, we welcome you too. And if you have been out for 20 or 25 years or somewhere in between, you are welcome to participate in our programs too, because we do understand that sometimes transitions need to be reset. And the reason we do these sessions on the second Tuesday of every month at 12 o'clock or on the fourth Tuesday of every month, we do training and coaching sessions on the fourth Tuesday of every month to reconnect with our Changing Focus alumni. And every other month on the second Tuesday of the month, Jane is gracious enough to be on with us and to answer your questions about VA benefits. So Jane, I just want to start and ask you if there is anything new in the world of VA benefits that we should be aware of.
Yes. With the recent changes with the COVID laws, as far as rent and all that other stuff, we also have changes in the VA healthcare system. For the longest time, we have had a waiver of the copays for medicines and specialty care and emergency room $50 type copays and things of that nature. So if you're a veteran that is either rated less than 50% and receiving medications for something other than your service-connected injury or illness, or you entered the VA perhaps fortunate enough not to have any injuries or illness, and so it's based on your income, then you have copays. It's just a few dollars for medicines, depending on whether it's a generic, if it's a name brand. And then there's the $25 to go get your hearing test or your eye exam. And then another $25 to either get your glasses or your hearing aids. So if you are suffering hearing loss, no more selective listening, you need to go and get those hearing aids. They are wonderful, believe me. And now they are even, for me, I can go into church and they hook up to what's called a loop, so I can hear my priest.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so what you're telling me is that they have state of the art hearing aids.
Yes. One of my veterans suffered from hearing loss that was so traumatic, they did cochlear implants for him.
Wow, that's awesome.
It had been the first time in 20 years he heard that he could use a phone. Amazing. Without reading.
Okay, and so do you know, was this person was it a hearing loss associated with military service or just hearing loss because of hearing loss?
This was a type of disease of the inner ear. So
okay, so did he then have to pay some kind of a copay for a surgery or something, or?
Yes, when you're
so for some of that kind of stuff, you pay a copay too.
Right, some still pay copay, but if you're rated at 50% or greater, or if your income has changed, many veterans forget that when they retire, usually their income goes down some. It might be time to go back to eligibility, the desk at the front, and talk to them and fill out a new income test or means test, because that may lower you into a category where you no longer pay the specialty copay, or you may not pay any copays after that.
That's awesome. So, yeah. But you said about going to the desk, so you have to do that at a facility. You can't do that online.
No, you can do it online. You could do it
Okay.
online, but a lot of our older guys, most of the people, generally speaking, those under 70 today are somewhat comfortable with the computer, but they may not be real comfortable with it. And they may
Mhm.
not think of all the different sources of income they need to report, or they may not think of all the different medical expenses. You may not know your spouse's medical expenses. They're doing it on household income. Your spouse may be the one with the major medical expenses that brings you into a lower category. So if
Oh,
you're
so
figuring,
what they do is they look at your income and then they subtract your medical expenses from that to do the
correct,
means test.
correct. And so if you and your spouse together combined income, and now all of a sudden she's taking some $600 a month medicine. Wow.
Yeah, it exists.
There's $7,000 worth of medical expenses. Or you or she just went on to Medicare. That's $148 a month. So if at any time
All
there's
of
a
that adds up, doesn't
significant
it?
change in your living income, you've been laid off for a year and a half. Well, last year's income may not have been significant. So
So the means test is done on an annual basis?
you can do it on an annual basis.
Okay.
They're going to
And
do a cost.
is it a calendar year or is it a fiscal year or
You can base it on, you can go to them, say, in right now and say, well, the last 12 months, my income has decreased, because they're going to look only back the 12 months, and they can say, okay, you had a loss of income.
right?
You've been 8 months without income, so it's technically this year, but you could ask them to consider the 12-month period. And it
Okay,
may
great.
change a lot of things for you, including copays. So, but
Wonderful.
as far
Thank
as
you.
health benefits
That's
go,
important information.
yeah, it doesn't change your health benefits. Your health benefits stay the same. Glasses, hearing aids, adaptive equipment, all that stuff, it's a total healthcare system. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to pay toward it. And you don't pay for the equipment, you pay for the doctor visit or the therapy visit to get the equipment.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Okay, so one of the things that I have seen people posting about on LinkedIn and other places lately is that they are getting ready to file their VA claim. And so, what is the difference between a fully developed claim and a standard claim? Can you let people understand that?
Yes. A fully developed claim, a lot of times, is simply a presumptive condition. After all, if you've been diagnosed with ALS, which is presumptive to all military, all it takes is that doctor's diagnosis. You don't have to provide evidence of an injury or evidence of an exposure or any of that kind of stuff. So if you can file the claim and have absolutely everything in it and not have to add anything like buddy statements or go get more medical records, then it is a fully developed claim. You are telling the VA, I am giving you one envelope and that's all I'm going to give you, all I have to give you. Whereas a standard claim may require going back and getting outside doctor medical opinions or may get a more clear diagnosis. A lot of my veterans that were out of service for multiple years uh, didn't have a PTSD diagnosis, but they had all the symptomology. They're on the third marriage, they drink too much.
All those
So
things.
I would say, okay, now it's time to go to counseling. Let's file a claim so we get our date locked in. I want you to go to counseling. I want you to get an X number of visits. Then I want you to request a diagnosis, and they'll send you over to the, I want to say, psychologist is the one that can do diagnosing. It's either psychiatrist or psychologist. One can write prescriptions for medications. That's the one that is the official diagnosis. He's going to look over those counseling notes and he's going to ask you questions. And then he's going to say, okay, yeah, I agree. It's PTSD or anxiety or depression. And yes, it's really, it comes from these incidences. And so you have to get those notes now. If you're inside the VA and they're doing the diagnosing, then the VA will see it. But if you're seeking outside treatment, then they're going to need the outside treatment records.
Okay, and so the main difference, as I think I understand it from what you're saying, because I want to make it clear for the people who are either watching or listening to this later, is that if you do a fully developed claim, if you file a fully developed claim, then you do all the legwork to put everything together. And with a standard claim, that they can help you fill in the blanks along the way. They'll tell you what you still need or what you're missing. But when you file the fully developed claim, you have to have everything put together for yourself.
Yeah, kind of. If you were diagnosed in the VA, they're going to have access to that record. So all you have to do
Right,
is make that statement. I have been diagnosed as of this date at by this doctor, and that's your
right.
claim. You don't have
And
to
that's
get
your claim.
medical records. But if you were diagnosed outside, you have to
Right,
get those medical records. And you're basically saying, I'm mailing you one envelope, whether it's electronic or not, and I'm not going to be bringing you any additional evidence. So they don't have to start sending you those letters saying, okay, we received this, this, and this. Do you have anything additional? Do you have this record or that? So it avoids all the back and forth in the mail thing.
okay,
A fully developed claim allows the VA to just go forward and process. That's what you're telling
gotcha.
them.
Okay, okay, wonderful. So the other thing that I've seen quite a bit, I've had people reach out to me, and I don't know whether it's good or bad. So I think that what I want to be able to do is to educate people. Is I have seen that there are businesses out there who say that they can go in and file a VA claim for you, either from the get go, if you haven't filed before, or if you have a certain level of disability. I've seen these advertisements. So we can get you from 30 to 70%, or we can get you from 50 to 100% VA disability. What's up with that? With these businesses, is that should I don't think I don't think we can say whether it's good or bad or not. But if I'm asking somebody to file a claim other than me doing it on my own, what kind of questions should I be asking those people?
Yeah, if you're starting a VA claim, even with an accredited VSO that works for your county, that attends the annual training, took their test, got their clearance, blah, 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 has access to the VA healthcare computer system where they can actually see your claim once you've authorized them, that's really no difference. They're not going to be able to access a lot more, but they're going to take a percentage of any back pay. So it may or may not benefit you in time-wise, as opposed to a CVSO who works in your neighborhood, maybe lives down the street from you, and therefore treats you like their neighbor, and who has been through the same training and who has been through everything else. The big difference is initial claims, I would always go with a VSO.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is, and you want to sit down and you want to ask the questions. What's the average time that you're seeing from the VA? How complicated are the cases? If I'm having difficulty, do you have a whole bunch of resources that you can point me to, such as a doctor in the area that does hearing tests, or a community clinic where I can go and get that free or very low cost exam to fill out a disability benefits questionnaire? Because most of the times when people are filing for VA benefits, there's something going on health-wise that may be dragging down their finances. So you want to know if they have the resources to help you. They can't do everything, but do they have accesses that you may not have thought about?
Okay,
Also,
so
if they're
what if somebody tells you that they have special access to the VA? Is that liable to be true?
no more than what the VSO has.
Okay,
We had a Rolodex, we had our liaison. If one of our veterans came in the office and said, they're going to cut off my heat, give me that past due bill, I can send it to my liaison. My liaison is then going to actually go to a senior rater, and they can pull your claim out of the middle of the pile and work it as a financial hardship. If
gotcha.
you, God forbid, got a terminal diagnosis, they will work it as a medical hardship. And so those claims of having special access, once they hit the board of Veterans Appeals, that's where they're more likely to have that special access. And
Okay.
they may have, I am telling you, there have been VA lawyers. There's one in particular I really like. She is incredible. And she's in California. And she actually won a brain cancer for one of my Vietnam guys while he was still alive. So we filed with an expedite because of brain cancer, terminal, and then turned around and got the denial within like 2 or 3 weeks. Turned
Yeah.
around, sent it back in, got that second, our initial appeal denied, and then sent her all the medical records and they sent blood tests overnight and all this other stuff. She had a genomic oncologist, the guy that actually broke my veteran's cancer down to the genome level, and said there's no reason that his genomic strings should ever have had cancer, much less this type of cancer,
Interesting.
without that chemical exposure.
Okay.
So he wrote a
Awesome.
30-page opinion. So sometimes those specialists are very needed. And in little town Iowa or in Wisconsin, we don't know what a genomic oncologist is.
Right. So it's worth checking out to see if somebody has access to good resources. So my next question for you is, because Tommy Rush is on Facebook, and thank you, Tommy. It's so good to see you that you're on with us. She wants to know: do you have to pay a VSO at all, or maybe do you have to pay a VSO after you're in retired status, not on active duty anymore?
No. A veteran service officer, which the VA listed as Veteran Service Officer Rep on their
Mm-hmm.
accreditation list, is paid by their county or their organization. Now, if you, in the olden days, when someone would come in and say, I would like a complete copy, paper copy of my entire VA file, and they're rated for 13 different things, and they fought the VA for 10 years to get their rating, that could be 2 very thick folders.
Mm-hmm.
Your county and or organization may say, well, bring me a couple reams of paper and I'm going to charge you $37 for an ink cartridge. Supplies, if that. And a lot of times, okay, I can print out your thing really quickly. Nowadays, they just give it to you on a DVD.
Right.
So,
So that's with the county VSO, and then the VFW and the DAV. They also do veterans claims, and they don't charge for that either, do
nope,
they?
nope, because they're paid
And
by their
you don't have
organization.
to be right, and you don't have to be a member, right?
No. Although, it's a nice
They
thing to
encourage it,
support
I'm
them.
sure. Yeah, it's a way of saying thank you to join the organization.
Yes. As a county person, because we were not paid by an organization itself, we could cross-accredit it, and we could show our training and all that to the other organizations. So I held 5 of the national organizations, said that I could represent cases in their name.
Awesome, awesome. So that's something you were saying when you were talking about the veteran that you worked with brain cancer that it just rang a bell in my head. When somebody files a VA claim, should they expect it to be denied the first time?
Oh,
Is
no.
that more common than not? Because you seem to think that it seems like reasonable that there was a denial at first.
In his case, yes. His was based on chemical exposure, and so therefore you have to have that presumptive list. They've looked at ALS, and they've realized that almost 2 out of 3 victims are veterans. So they can't tell whether you're the person that would have gotten it on their own, or if somewhere in your military history, something exposed you to something that triggered it. So they can't fight it. They can't define yes or no. Did the service cause it or not cause it? We're going to have to go with the assumption that it's 50-50, as likely
Mm-hmm.
as not, that your military time somehow triggered this.
Okay.
So if it's on the presumptive list, there's no argument. If you get diagnosed with
Right.
MS within 7 years of service, there's no argument. Now, if you're beyond that 7-year window, or you're getting something like brain cancer, which the VA has not studied because it's such an odd condition.
Mhm.
They don't have the statistics to show that Agent Orange triggers it. Although
Right.
personally, I think so, because I live in Midwest and never remember meeting anyone with brain cancer until I became a CVSO. And then out of the 11 or 12 cases, only one of them was not in Vietnam.
Wow.
So to me, that
Interesting.
seems
That
really,
certainly seems like there's a connection.
yes. And it is one of the things that the Vietnam veterans and other veterans are pushing to try and get more research done on.
Right.
Now, the thing with
Okay.
that is, if that then gets granted, like
Hmm.
ischemic heart disease, one of my veterans had his first heart attack in his late 20s,
Wow.
and then in his 30s again, and had filed then. And he was amazing, and his recoveries were always really good. But he went throughout life, and by the time his late 50s came around, he wasn't able to work anymore. But he had filed in his 30s. So when it came time, they had to go back in his medical records, say, okay, here you have a heart attack, you filed, we're going to give you 100% during this recovery time, and now we're going to drop you back down to 20 or 30%, and we're going to go this many years at that. And they did it all, and $480,000 back pay.
Wow.
Agent Orange is the only thing, unless the VA, unless you can show the VA improperly followed regulations while making their denial.
Hmm.
And I have had that happen. Okay, guys, here's your case, here's your file. This is the one piece of evidence that you've had all these years and you kept overlooking it. So now you owe this man 12 years worth of back pay.
Okay.
So
So
if it's
Tommy
their
also
fault,
has another really good question, and that is, what is the average turnaround time for rating right now with the pandemic for getting active duty claims processed before people retire or before they separate?
well, that's tricky in that there are certain claims that have to go to certain regionals to be processed because they train those people specifically. And I used to have a chart that showed me exactly, okay, a TBI is going to go to this regional center. And, so
Hmm.
if it's just standard stuff, racked up knees, I would say 6 months from beginning to end, or even
Hmm.
possibly less, depending on how clearly defined it is, what condition you are currently in, because they rate you based on your current condition.
Right.
So if you file something for bad knees and you had knee surgery 2 years ago, you're not going to get that temporary convalescent 100%. So it really depends. A complex case, I would not expect you to take more than 9 months. But again, if you get out of service, that day you get out is the day your disability claim is going to actually be rated, or the date of eligibility, I should say.
Right.
So if you get out and you don't have a job, or you have a job and then perhaps lose it because of your disability, and now you're behind on rent, take that past due bill, send it in, get them to move faster on your claim. Not saying that people should deliberately not pay their utility bill, but
Right.
it's been known to happen just to get that past due stamp on it.
Just to move it a little faster. So basically, if somebody has their paperwork together, then about 6 to 9 months processing
Right.
time.
And that's why it's so important to get started early. People will wait until, and I realize some of it has to do with the duty position they're in, that they are so busy working 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, that they don't give time. You need to tell your command, I need at least 1 hour a day to work on this, or I need to take half a day every other week to go get those exams, or to go follow up on medical records,
Right.
or to get personal statements from buddies and stuff like that. You need to take that time. Veterans and military, you are not doing this for yourself. You are doing this to protect your family from the financial impact of your injuries or illness that you either currently are suffering with or it will progress into by the time you're in your late 50s or 60s.
That's a really good way of putting it because so many times we just say, oh, well, it doesn't matter to me, but it does matter to your family.
Yes. When you have to get that knee replacement and you're out of work for 6 months, yes, there's going to be financial impact on your family. You need to have those
Awesome.
safety nets. And as a CVSO, I'm going to tell you right now, I can't do diddly if you're unconscious in the emergency room. So you need to do the paperwork. You need to work with your VSO. You need to help your family substantiate your claims, because if you're unconscious or, God forbid, taken off this earth, there's nobody to answer the questions to the VA. You got to get it done.
Got to get it done. Okay. Well, Jane, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Tommy, for being on, and anybody else who's been on that I missed because you didn't put a question in the chat or listening later. Thank you so much for being on. We will be here again the second Tuesday of December for our last VA benefits Q&A of the year. So thank you so much. We'll see you right here, 12 o'clock, the fourth Tuesday. Losing track of my days, the fourth Tuesday of the month. So just in another 2 weeks, we'll see you back here again at noontime for our training and coaching session. Thank you so much, Jane. Have a great day.
Find me on LinkedIn. I'll send you the links to a lot of the tools I use so that you can have them for later reference.
Thank you. That's a really kind offer. So I'm going to put that note in the chat too before we go to the end. So look for Jane here. I'm going to type it in the chat. Look for Jane on LinkedIn. Oh, I can't type well today.
And you be safe and have a good Halloween. I wish I had trick-or-treaters where I live, but I still decorate my yard, though, for the grown-up children that drive by.
We love it. We love it. Thank you so much.
Take
Thank
care,
you,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you again soon. Bye-bye.